Today on the DML News Podcast, we're going to talk about two crimes that took place in the United States, New York specifically. One where a man basically was just set free, thank God, and the other one where it looks like he probably will go to prison for life. We're going to talk about both of those. Plus, we're going to talk about the future of the Democrat Party and elections. Yeah, it's time to talk about that already, and it's all unfiltered.
Dennis Michael Lynch gives you his word, and he will never let you down. He will always fight for America.
The only one who really puts his money where his mouth is Dennis Michael Lynch.
Hello, I'm Dennis Michael Lynch, and I thank you for joining me today. Across from me is my son, Dennis, and on the controls is my son, Ryan. And as always, we are honored to be with you here today, that you'll give us the opportunity to speak to you about the problems, issues, and opportunities that are taking place in America. We love this country. Our family loves this country, and we love the fact that you want to listen to us every day, and we thank you for coming in and doing that. Before we get started on the program today, I want to tell you something. I'm doing something very rare I've never done before. I'm an absolute dog lover. In fact, both of my dogs are here today. We got Robin sitting behind Dennis. That's a normal thing. And I've got my dog Summer somewhere around here. But we have a pet tincture. It's a DML CBD pet tincture. And the testimonials we receive from people around the country are amazing. People say that their dogs, some of them older, having some aches and pains, can't get up, can't get down. All of a sudden, bingo, they start using it. I mean, Dennis uses the DML CBD on Robin all the time. Issues for the dog in terms of, I know I have one friend, lightning outside, storms outside, dog gets all nutty. DML CBD helps the dog find a place of calmness. So with that being said, we've had some other testimonials too. I can't make claims. I don't ever make claims about any of this stuff. I'm just reading the testimonials other people said. We've had some dogs that were pretty banged up, and all of a sudden, with no other hope, and DML CBD, and they tell me, oh yeah, things turned around. So I don't know. Maybe it's coincidence. Maybe it's not. But we're running a special for Christmas. It's my way to give back to the pet community. DMLCBD.com/pet, P-E-T, DMLCBD.com/pet, P-E-T. You're going to go in there and you can buy a bottle of the DML CBD pet tincture for just $10. Okay? I make no money on this. In fact, we lose money on this. But it's Christmas season. I'm a charitable guy, and I believe in our dogs. I believe in our pets. Are a big part of our lives. I know my Summer is a big part of mine. I know Robin's a huge part of Denny's. If you watch this show, you definitely know that to be true. DMLCBD.com/pet, P-E-T, $10 a bottle. You can buy as many bottles as you want. We're not going to have this back in stock for another 4 or 5 months because we're making some changes in terms of our vendors and things like that in this warehouse. So grab it now. If you are a customer, grab it now. Grab as many bottles as you possibly can. And if you've never tried it before, now's the time to get in there. Buy a bottle for 10 or buy a couple of backups, and you will not be sad. We usually sell these bottles, I think it's for like $40. So there you go, $10. It's a one-day sale only. I started off this program telling you we're going to talk about two crimes. Daniel Penny did not commit a crime. The crime was against Daniel Penny. That's the one I want to start off this conversation about. Imagine that you are riding a subway. You do it every day. You know it's dangerous, highly dangerous. It's an uncomfortable thing. I used to ride the subway all the time, every single day. Let me tell you how that goes through. You walk down into the subway. It smells like absolute shit. It's dirty. It's slimy. It's a germ fest. You don't want to be down there. You got to go down those steps, and then you got to put your token in, and you watch other people jump over the turnstiles, and you say, you know what the hell, where's the cops when you need them? Then you go to the platform, and that's where the scary stuff starts. Now, personally, whenever I was at the platform, I always found myself a wall, if you can find one. Sometimes you've got a double-sided platform where one train's coming in and out at the same time. There is no wall. And you have to stand in the middle. And you have to stand guard. Because the crazy SOBs that are out there They will take you, they will throw you in front of the train. I know that sounds amazingly unbelievable, but it's true. I was never one of those people that would stand at the edge. And when I told my kids about what they needed to do, I hope they listened to me when they went down the subway. Ashley, I wouldn't even allow her in the subway. I would threaten her that if she goes into the subway, I'm going to kick her out of the house or I'm going to take away her car. I mean, that was how severe it was. Then you get on the subway. Now you're in a tube with locked doors and nowhere to go. You are basically praying to God that you're going to get to your stop without incident. I can tell you that on the subway, I've seen everything. I've seen fistfights. I've seen people have sex on the subway. I've seen people take defecations on the subway. I've seen guys rip out their you-know-what and just pee in the corner at a seat. I've seen people sleeping across the seats. I've seen people bleeding on the subway. I have seen everything you can possibly imagine on the subway. And then there's the days when you are literally packed in, when you're like this and you're crunched up and your shoulders are as tight to your head as they possibly could get, and you're rubbing up against people that you have no idea who they are, what diseases they carry. And then, of course, somebody's going to sit there and go, or achoo. And you just say, oh my God, I don't want to be on this thing. Periodically, you get a really disturbed person, and I mean super disturbed. And that person will start looking at people and going crazy and making threats and doing everything else. And this is where you really struggle. Because as a person, I am one of those people. I'm a protector. If I see somebody being picked on, I'm going to get involved. Or at least I always would have gotten involved. I would have said, hey, enough of this already. And if I knew it was definitely somebody I can take, I'd say, hey, keep that up. Now you're going to deal with me. If I'm with a couple of guys, usually the guys I'm with support my kind of thinking, and it's pretty easy. Hey, you keep that up, you're going to deal with us. But once in a while, you wind up getting a really erratic person. And you sit there and you think to yourself, maybe the better thing here is just wait for the stop and hope that nothing happens. But you start to look. You look around to see what your strategic plan would be if this person takes it to the next step. At least that's what I did. Look around to see if there was anybody who I thought would be somebody that would help me. Look around and see if there was anybody else who I thought was just as equally dangerous. And in every case that I was involved, thankfully, we wound up getting to the stop. You get off the stop, and then you just wait for the next train. In Daniel Penny's case, his military training kicked in. He was taught to protect the weak. And so when he sat there and he saw that Mr. Neely was threatening to kill people, that he was ready to kill people, Mr. Penny didn't know that this maniac had been arrested dozens upon dozens upon dozens of times. He didn't know about the whole rap sheet that he had. He just knew that he saw somebody that was definitely not playing with a full deck and was threatening the lives of innocent people. Strangers that Daniel Penny didn't know. Strangers that Daniel Penny probably on any other day would say, well, I hope they don't have a cold. I hope they don't have the flu. Suddenly, Daniel Penny was in a situation to where it was either sit back and hope that the next stop came or take some action so this way nobody would get hurt. And he did what heroes do. He took action. He didn't think about, am I going to get in trouble? He didn't think about, am I going to wind up being sued? He didn't think about whether or not some radical DA from New York who always is looking for race-baiting excuses to throw people like me and you and anybody else who looks like Daniel Penny into the slammer and throw away the key. He just went to action because that's what he was trained to do. That's what heroes do. Unfortunately, the maniac wound up dying. But Daniel Penny didn't ask for that. Daniel Penny didn't seek out to kill somebody that day. Daniel Penny just wanted to get home from school. Daniel Penny wound up saving lives. And instead of being honored like a hero, instead of winding up getting a key to the city like celebrities get and then have to later have their key taken back like Diddy, he wound up finding himself fighting for his life. And now that 12 reasonable people, or at least half of them, or some of them, because who knows how anybody thought or voted in that chamber. But now Daniel Penny has been basically found not guilty in the sense that the jury could not come to an unanimous decision. You would think that we'd learn lessons from this. You would think that the media would sit there and say, you know, every time we put somebody like Daniel Penny up on trial and call him a racist, we're making it so this way the next person's not going to step up and be a hero. Now, here's the crazy thing. Had Daniel Penny not stood up and done anything, and had that man gone through with what his threats were and killed 3 people on that subway, let's call them 3 black people because that's the majority of the people that were around there, you wouldn't have even gotten a headline in the New York Times, CNN, LA Times, Fox News, anything. You probably would have seen a little thing in the New York Post that said 3 people die on a subway. And you would have flipped that page because it happens every day, right? But because Daniel Penny is white, and because Daniel Penny pinned down a man who was black, a criminal, a massive criminal, now all of a sudden it's a major headline across the country and in many places around the world. And now that Mr. Penny is a free man, as he should be, I hope President Trump eventually invites him to the White House and gives him a medal of some kind. But now you have Black Lives Matter. The most despicable people in this country, Black Lives Matter, the race baiters who are just at the end of the day either radical left or angry at their core, are calling for black vigilantes to just step up. Let's remember, Daniel Penny is not a vigilante. Daniel Penny is a victim of being in a situation that should have never have happened because this criminal, who's now dead, should have never been out in public. They're calling us KKK. If you support Daniel Penny, you are KKK. When was the last time you saw the KKK making national news, getting up in the streets of New York and saying that we should be hanging black people? Do you ever hear that? I don't see that. Is the KKK a bad thing? It is, but it's a little tiny section of people that nobody ever hears from. Black Lives Matter is allowed to take the microphone and go anywhere they want and call for hatred and say horrible things that if I were to say about blacks, I would be thrown in jail. There would be an FBI investigation to me about hate crimes. But they get away with it. They're allowed to do whatever they want. And there is where the problem lies. We have to stop treating the people who are Black Lives Matter as if they're victims and we just need to let them take it out of their system. Just let them get it out of their system. Let them burn down the buildings. Let them say all these violent things. No. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. There aren't 2 sets of rules in this country. There aren't sets of rules for Black Lives Matter and then everybody else. There aren't a set of rules for illegal aliens and then everybody else. There's one set of rules. And if you don't follow them, you have to pay. I'm going to play a clip right now of this radical Black Lives Matter angry black girl who probably has gone through all of the issues that just hamper and cloud over the black community more than anybody wants to admit these days. And you ask yourself, how did she get so angry? What happened in her life? How has the system failed her to create somebody who is so angry that somebody like me, who would wind up helping anybody despite what color their skin is or isn't, now all of a sudden she has me as a KKK racist because I think Daniel Penny is a hero. Play the clip.
Because to be real, they didn't even try. Once the lesser charge was removed, they came back an hour later and said it was deadlock. Less than an hour and 20 minutes later, they said not guilty. These wonderful white people, I hope they celebrate their Christmas while the Neely family is praying and asking God for comfort. Goddamn them and goddamn America.
May goddamn them and may goddamn America. That is an angry black girl. And you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. This is just my opinion. I bet you look back you won't find a father at home. Just my opinion. I'm just guessing. She's so angry. Hope those white people enjoy their Christmas. Let me tell you something. Yeah, I'm going to enjoy my Christmas. And I'm going to thank God for all the blessings, including the blessing of Daniel Penny. Because I'll tell you what, we may have 3 black families today who weren't enjoying their Christmas because they were killed on that subway, or 3 families that will enjoy their Christmas because Daniel Penny was on that subway. Sometimes all you have to do is flip the script and you see really where the truth lies. They talk about racism in America as if it's as bad as the flu. There really isn't racism in America. There's racists like that woman, very few people, and for some reason we give them a microphone and a camera. But the majority of Americans are not racist, and the majority of Americans love other Americans. We don't look at color. We just look at whether or not you are or not an American. I go back and ask you one last thing before I bring in Dennis, because Dennis is going to talk about the other crime that took place in New York. Go back and take a look at the pictures. Give me that book right there, Dennis. Go back and look at the pictures of Vietnam. We have this book right here. Go take a look at any pictures of Vietnam. You know what you'll see? You'll see white guys and black guys sitting next to each other, fighting next to each other, holding hands, trying to protect each other. Put Americans on a battlefield, and you'll see that there truly is no racism at all whatsoever. It is manufactured by the media because we allow these people like that upset, angry black girl who I hope gets some help soon. We let them to metastasize. Dennis, your thoughts on what I just said there, and then if you could start telling us about the second crime and how Mr. Luigi has been arrested.
Well, think about what you just said, right? Flip the script.
Mm-hmm.
So take this scenario, because I think this will prove the point. Let's just say that the drugged up homeless guy was a white man,
Mm-hmm.
and the the Marine was a black man. And
Yep.
It was the same situation, same subway, same passengers who were fearful, as based on their eyewitness account, and same situation. The guy screaming that he's going to kill everyone. The Marine steps in, but the color of their skin is reversed. Would your opinion on what happened change? Which is that a Marine stepped in and saved his passengers?
I'm glad you used the word Marine. Yeah, I would say, that Marine's a hero.
Yeah.
And, oh, wow, by the way, he happens to be black.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That would be my take too. But if you were to ask that BLM leader, their situation simply would just change based on the skin color. So they're
Absolutely.
angry when they're the victim, but if they're the one who is the one enacting the chokehold, they'd be crickets.
Absolutely.
So when you do have some black Americans who are speaking out in favor of Daniel Penny, because I've seen plenty on X, why aren't they the ones that the media, also interviews and gets their voices heard? Instead, they go right to the same BLM leaders each and every time, who have proven through various accounts that a lot of the money they're taking isn't going back into the community like they claim they would do.
You want to know why this happens? It's because it's good TV. We just, on a total side note, before you get into Luigi and him being caught, you may recall just last week, Dennis and I and Ryan, we held a speech. We were at an event for 200 people in Valencia, Florida. And there was a scene in one of the clips we played, and it's from my movie, They Come to America. And if you could envision this, if you saw They Come to America, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's about 8 ranchers sitting on haystacks. And they were talking about how the media has tried to make this about race, about the open border being about, white people hate Latinos. So it's either we hate blacks or we hate Latinos, right? And the one rancher said that 60 Minutes had gone down to film the border. And they asked him, he's a real cowboy looking guy, if he wouldn't mind giving them a tour. And he said, I noticed how one producer just couldn't get their eyes off my sidearm. He had a gun, he had a .38. And the producer finally couldn't hold back. And the guy said, I see you fixed on my gun. So he says, yeah, because, I'm looking at this tour and stuff. Clearly you've got this gun because, what are you going to shoot the people as they come off across the border? And the guy said, they're blanks. I use this for snakes. He's like, but right away, he's like, all they wanted to do was focus
The
on my gun.
attachment to it, yeah.
Just focus on my gun. And I said, because that's good TV. And that's why the media does this, because they know it's good TV. And that's that. What do we know about, with the other crime that took place in New York, again, with a young man, the CEO of United Healthcare was shot down. Everybody has seen the videos by now. And he was caught yesterday. And Denny did a whole newsletter about it. It was a fantastic newsletter, by the way. If you haven't read it, you should definitely take a look at it. It does the whole comparison between the shooter of the CEO and, of course, Daniel Penny.
Well, I mean, it's looking like this is definitely the guy that killed Brian.
Right, he's the
Thompson,
suspect.
the suspect.
Yeah.
Although the amount, I mean, we were looking through X last night about it, and some of the theories on it are crazy. But the main gist is that this kid, I mean, he's 26 years old. He's a graduate. He is from Maryland. Smart kid, Ivy League. I mean, and an avid reader. I mean, the reason that people were able to kind of figure out what his whole MO is because he has an account on Goodreads. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what that is, but you review books. He's got like 290 listed that he's gone through from different ideologies, philosophies. And
he was a valedictorian in high school.
Valedictorian. We even have the speech.
Should we do that? We have a clip of, just so this way you get a better sense for what Denny is explaining when he goes to the other side of this. We have a clip of this gentleman. Was it Luigi what?
Mangione. Very Italian.
Very Italian. Luigi Mangione. We have a clip that has portions of the valedictorian speech he gave at his high school graduation. Yeah. Play the clip.
The class of 2016 is truly defined by its inventive, pioneering mentality that accompanies a strong commitment to Gilman tradition. Throughout its time here at Gilman, the class of 2016 has been coming up with new ideas and challenging the world around it. Gilman maintains its classic core values by cultivating mind, body, and spirit in its students, but also champions an environment of acceptance and diversity. The people in our lives, especially our parents and teachers, had such huge roles as well. The parents here today, first off, sending us to Gilman was far from a small financial investment. I'd like to personally thank each of you for sending your sons here, as I can't imagine the class of 2016 without any one of these men on stage. Further, thank you for all the time and love you've put into our lives. You've instilled values in us, fed and clothed us, and simply been there for us every step of the way. Just like we've done these past few years, we'll be exploring the unknown, whether that be attending colleges across the country, traveling the world during gap years, or fulfilling military service in foreign countries. As we embrace the new, however, we won't forget the old. Our friendships, values, and memories from Gilman will always stay with us.
Yeah, so obviously a very supposedly a well-rounded kid, but from what reports are indicating, it looks like he kind of made a turn at some point, and what caused that turn was this major back surgery that he had. And apparently the back surgery didn't go well. It was from a injury surfing in Hawaii, and as a result, I think from what I was reading, that not only did he have psychedelics as a means of getting rid of the pain, which obviously psychedelics can mess with your mind, but also, painkillers. So at some point he went completely MIA and moved to Japan and cut communication off with his family. And then at some point came over here and decided to take out Brian Thompson. And he was caught because he got captured on video surveillance at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania.
Somebody noticed him, right?
Yeah, somebody noticed him. So, I mean, it's been days since the assassination and he's only in Pennsylvania. Why not flee the country or get out of, at least the East Coast, anything? So there's a lot of questions that are kind of popping up, and some people are making comparisons of him being caught on video in the McDonald's compared to the first image from the subway. And people are saying the two faces look different. So some of the theories are that this is a plant, but all indications, if everything is that this is the guy, show that his whole MO was that he was very against corporate greed and the healthcare industry. I mean, this is what he wrote on one of his book reviews. When all other forms of communication fail, violence is necessary to survive. Peaceful protest is outright ignored. So how long until we recognize that violence against those who lead us to such destruction is justified as self-defense? These companies don't care about you or your kids or your grandkids. They have zero qualms about burning down the planet for a buck. So why should we have any qualms about burning them down to survive?
You know, some of the things that I've seen online is that, you know, people are hailing this guy as a hero
Yes, I've
because
seen
he
that.
took out the CEO of a healthcare company. Now, look, um, I hate my health insurance. I hate health insurance companies. Hate them, hate them, hate them, despise them. I pay $3,300 a month. It's going up to $3,500 in January. I've got crazy deductibles. And, you know, so many times you hear people, they need something for cancer. They need an operation for this. They need a procedure for that. I mean, I know I've been turned down by the insurance company and had to go out of pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give you something so simple. I had oral surgery, just had my second one. My first one, you know, they give you a mouthwash, and this mouthwash is to help not only get any particles out of your mouth so it doesn't get caught in, which wound up happening to me, causing me to have to go for a second surgery, by the way. So the healthcare company screwed themselves, and you'll get how this happens in a moment. But I wound up getting stuff caught back into the hole before it was healing, and it wound up creating another infection. So while I had the first one, and I was using the mouthwash, not only does it help clean it out, but it helps clean out to make sure there's no infection. It's got some kind of medicine in it or something. And I went through it. I went through it pretty quick. And I called up the surgeon, and he said, I'll get you another one. He went and prescribed me another one. The insurance company would not approve it for another 3 days because according to them, I should not have been through it. So I had to wait for 3 days. And in that 3 days, I'm convinced that because I didn't have it, I wound up getting stuck with it. And here I went having to have another surgery. So instead of paying for that $100 bottle, they had to pay for $2,600 for another surgery. So screw them. They got screwed back. But I had to go through the damn surgery again. And who knows if I would have, if they would have given the medicine. So there's a part of me that says this kid knew in the back of his mind, if it is indeed him, right? If it is him, he knew that the insurance companies were slime because he probably had to deal with it with stuff with his back.
And there are reports too that apparently his grandparents got really screwed over with because they were ill and they had health insurance issues. And I will say, I mean, since Thompson was assassinated and just with this whole story, the amount of nightmare stories that have come out about the healthcare insurance industry, like,
Yeah.
you know, just reading threads about it, I almost understand, and I wrote about in the newsletter, why people maybe don't have that empathy for Thompson getting killed. I mean, he was a father, he was a husband,
Right.
and you know, maybe he was. I wrote like, you know, a corporate sleaze, but doesn't justify, you know, Luigi picking up a gun and going to kill him.
Right.
But I understand why people maybe have
Allegedly.
allegedly, but allegedly,
Yeah,
but I think I understand why people are having the reaction they are having with it. So if this kid really thinks of himself as like a Robin Hood, you know, I'm going to be the vigilante kind of justice and take him out to send a bigger message. Well, he just threw his life away for what? I mean, someone else is going to fill his shoes. If anything, he just took away a dad and a husband.
Yeah.
So, and now he's going to spend a life behind bars.
He's not a martyr.
No.
I mean, he's not a martyr. You know, look, let's go back to Penny and Neely. I'm not happy that Neely's dead.
No.
You know, I'm happy that Neely didn't get to kill somebody else. But what I'd like to have seen was that he got pinned down, held, cops came, and finally said, let's put this guy somewhere where he could get the help he needs. And that's the mentality there of the normal person. When you see these leftists and these other people, these maniacs, saying they're happy that Thompson is dead, it's sending a message. Maybe this is what had to happen to reform the healthcare industry. No, you could have done this a different way. It could have been, you know, the thing is that Thompson was under investigation by the Department of Justice for insider trading.
Hmm.
And maybe he would have gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
And you know what? If he would have gotten in trouble, he wouldn't have done inside trading again. So maybe the U.S. government should take a look at this and say, we need to look at the healthcare industry and why it is they're turning down people and why they're not approving people, especially those who pay for their own insurance, and hold people accountable criminally, because I think you're going to get more for your bang for your buck if you go after them criminally than if you go after them like a criminal.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
And, you know, when you lay it out like that, it really is a case of the fact that it just misguided youth and ignorance. I mean, he really took it to the highest extent to actually carry that out. And to your point, if Thompson was under investigation, maybe justice would have been served in that direct fashion. But you know, I was reading it too. I mean, I've never had it. I know you haven't, but back surgery, from what people have said, like sometimes it's not only just the recovery process, but if it doesn't go the way it planned, it impacts your entire life. Your life could change in an instant. And from what it sounds like, he was an athletic, active person, and this back surgery, you know, kind of imposed limitations onto him now. So maybe it was the psychedelics or a combination of his philosophy, but clearly, I mean, he was bold enough to go and take this guy out in daylight New York City.
You go up. You bring up a great thing about back surgery. You go up to 100 people who had back surgery or neck surgery of some kind, and I'd say you'd be lucky to find one that says perfect.
Yeah,
it really worked for me.
Yeah.
I mean, my best friend John, Gav, his father has had countless back surgeries.
Well, they say once you have one, you're likely to have more.
And so, you know, I could tell you right now, I recently had MRIs on my back because I got this nerve thing going on, and I've got deterioration on the bottom of my spine. I've got deterioration on my neck, and I think, you know, like they said, well, you know, you may want to have the surgery. I'm not having any surgery. I'm not doing that. You know, I'll figure it out somehow, some other way. I'll tell you what, really, we should do a podcast on this. You know who's going to have incredible neck problems is your generation, man. Tech neck. From looking down like this the whole time on the laptop and on the phone or whatever, that's not the way the neck's supposed to be, you know? And yeah. So when you see people who have surgeries like that and they don't come back from it, and now they get stuck up on drugs, I'll give you another little quick story. Dr. K, we've had him on our show as well.
Yeah.
Dr. K, this guy is brilliant. He is a therapist. He wrote a book called Glow Kids about how kids today are using all this stuff. He tells a story about down here in Florida, I believe it was, a top athlete, high school athlete, you know, number one, you know, big guy on campus, football player, wound up getting hurt, couldn't play for a whole season. It just stripped him of everything he knew because he was athletic. He went from being an active guy to being a couch potato, wound up picking up gaming, was so incredibly entranced by gaming that he would pee himself in his bed and pee himself playing because he couldn't stop playing. He couldn't stop playing and put pause to go to the bathroom. That's how obsessed he became. And his parents saw how bad it became. They took away the console and said, you're not playing anymore. We're taking this stuff away from you. And the next day he went, took the gun and blew his two parents away. And years later, you know, being in jail, obviously he has no gaming system. Dr. K interviewed him and he said, I deserve to be in here for the rest of my life. I killed my parents. I can never get past that.
Yeah.
It breaks him every single time. He says, but when I look back now, I realize I was so entranced by those games that, you know, I started to forget what reality was. And in my games, when I shoot somebody and kill somebody, they get up and they've got 9 lives. He says, and that's not the way it is in real life. And there you go. So it just tells you, you know, you're on these painkillers, you're in these situations, your life changes.
There could be translation there too, because you know, it's just crazy now with this day and age, because with his name being released, everyone's going through his stuff.
Of course.
And there was one guy on X saying like, hey, I've had like emails exchanged with this guy, you know, for like work reasons, because he did something with engineering, and he like showed the email and he was talking, meaning Luigi was talking about living in Japan, how so many of the citizens there are NPCs. Now, NPCs means non-playable character, and that's a modern slang term for in video games. If you're not the main character, you're just kind of like a boring supporting side character. You don't really matter. So you're saying like all these Japanese citizens, they have no individuality. And he was using an example of how he went to go help someone with having a heart attack across the street, but other Japanese citizens wouldn't cross the street because it was a red light and they didn't want to, break the law. So he was going through this whole thing about how they're NPCs, and that's video game terminology that
Yeah.
probably, I'm guessing that he did not think through, obviously, the consequences of what would happen going to, through and killing this man.
Where the hell were we the other night? I don't remember where I was, but I said that I thought, or actually maybe I said this at the speech. I said the number one problem in the country in terms of health is mental health, and nobody ever talks about that. Oh, I said it when we were going around with the sheriff.
Yes. Yeah.
So I said to a bunch of practitioners, health practitioners, I said mental health is the number one problem in the country, and I think it is like that because it doesn't get treated at all. If you, and this is the story I said to the sheriff, I said, if you came to my house tomorrow night for a dinner party and the conversation came up and you said that you just got back your blood test and you got really high cholesterol, I said, and you got to cut out the McDonald's, people weren't going to, ostracize you because you eat McDonald's. In fact, some people probably would have said to you, oh, you know what, by the way, I'm on Lipitor, or this is my cardiologist, or blah, blah, blah. It'd be a conversation because it's accepted. If the sheriff would have walked in and said, yeah, you know what, I missed work today because I had to have a psychiatric review because I'm starting to see ghosts. Not only would nobody in the room talk to him, but then they would be making phone calls for him to lose his job. And so in those two particular cases, they're major health problems. One gets ignored and swept under the rug, and the other one gets addressed. And what winds up happening is that so many people with mental health issues, their mental health issues just only get worse. And we don't know what to do. People, there's no answer to this stuff. Ronald Reagan, I think Ronald Reagan really did an injustice to the U.S. in two different ways. Number one, he gave amnesty. Number two is he stopped these psychiatric wards that we had.
Yes.
And now there's no hospitals for these people to go to.
I mean, Jordan Neely clearly needed one because
Absolutely.
I have a question for his family. Where were any of you during his actual time of crises? His dad comes out of nowhere after being absent throughout his life. So,
and now is suing Daniel Penny for money.
Yeah,
it's always about the money.
Exactly. So you really need the support system, because when you don't, you get situations even like with Luigi. I mean, right? Excommunicates his entire family and friends. I mean, there's on Twitter, one of his friends reached out to him like, hey, I'm trying to text and call you. I can't reach you. I made wedding plans like with you to be in my party, and like I can't find you. Like where like it is like he went off the wall. So when you don't have that support system, your mind starts running crazy, and this is what happens.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That being said, I think there's going to be a lot about this story. This is going to hold the headlines for the next 3-4 days, easy, as we learn more about him. And believe me when I tell you, we will learn more about him. It's amazing, though. Just as a side note, just making a shift into politics here for a second. This is a good segue. Think about how much we know about Luigi within 24 hours of him being arrested at McDonald's. Does anybody have any idea about the guy who shot Trump? Are we ever going to get anything about him?
We have two. We have the one where the assassin is dead, and then we have one that is still alive, and I have not heard a peep about Ryan Ruth.
Ryan Ruth. Where are these guys? It's amazing how we can figure out everything about this guy in 24 hours. But the other guys, no, can't talk about them.
No.
Yeah, they're just, they, like you said, Ruth, he's just going to disappear. Nobody's ever going to find him again, right?
No.
All right, that said, we're going to play a video here for a second. Tom Horman is now the border czar, and he had an interview, I think it was with CBS, or I think it's CBS Morning News or something like that, and they're talking about the border wall, but I want you to listen specifically to the very first few seconds of what Tom Horman says, because I have a little bit of a problem with it, and I'm going to push back even though I'm a huge Tom fan. Ryan, play the video.
Well, look, the president in his first term put a plan on the table to address the Dreamers. And Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer shut it down because part of the plan was giving them money for the border wall. And look, the bottom line is border walls work. Border walls save lives. Women and children can't get over that wall, which means they go to a place where there's not a wall. And what's waiting on them? The men and women of the Border Patrol who's going to take care of their medical needs right off the bat. So border walls not only moved illegal immigration to a 45-year low, helped, it's one of the factors. It also saved lives. So President Trump will put it on the table again. But I would not go forward with it until the Democrats show this president that they're willing to secure this border and willing to support him in the removal of public safety threats that are illegally here in the United States. So it's going to be put on the table once again, and I support the president in that idea.
So I want to go down a few things here, Dennis. First of all, we could go, let's start with the good, all right? I have done the border and immigration since 2008. It's a long time, 16 years. And I've always said, yeah, let's get a wall, but it's very low on the list. A wall does not stop a visa violator. A wall does not help us deport people. A wall does not stop people coming in through the waterways. We get tens of thousands of people coming in every single month from the waterways. Can't put a wall around the state of Florida, nor can you put a wall on the coast of California, nor can you put wall at boat ports where they're coming in and out of. So I like the wall because it's a deterrent. I like the wall because it, like Horman said, it forces the women and children to go to one area. With that in mind, we cannot ever forget why it is that we started having surges during President Trump's presidency. And Tom just said it right there, but he didn't give the full story. When Trump came into office in January, 3 months later, in April, we had the lowest recorded number of people coming across the border at 15,000. 15,000. Think about that. We get 240,000 people a month under Biden. 15,000. And the reason why it dropped so low is because Trump was such a hawk on immigration during the campaign. And when people saw that he won the election, they didn't come. Now, the trek to America, depending on where you're coming from, is usually there anywhere between 3 to 6 months. So we saw it catch up to itself in April. 6 months later, after Trump is elected, April, boom. He didn't sign any legislation. He didn't make any executive orders, nothing. In fact, he had promised during the campaign that he was going to end DACA on day one. Mm-hmm. And he didn't. He didn't. And we still had the lowest numbers ever with no laws, just tough talk. Then what wound up happening in September is that DACA was running out. It had to either be renewed or what have you. And Trump wanted his border wall, and the Democrats wouldn't pay for it. So Trump took a reverse of what everything he promised and said, let's get a deal done with DACA. I'll give you DACA, which means these kids can stay, and you give me my border wall. Well, what wound up happening was DACA stayed, and the border wall never completed. He never got the funding for it. So he got bamboozled by the Democrats. What he did prove in that, I don't know what we benefited from this, but what he did prove is that the Democrats really don't care about the kids, the illegal alien kids. If they did, they would have taken that deal. They didn't care about them. They just didn't want to give Trump a victory. At the end of the day, they don't care about the illegal alien population, the Democrats. Trust me when I tell you, not unless they could vote. And I'll tell you how you could prove this. If Trump were to sit down with Democrats right now and say, listen, you win. I'm going to give amnesty to all 40 million people who are here. I'm going to do it. My heart is that the strings are being pulled. I'm going to give it all. I'm not going to deport a single, just going to deport all the gang members. Right. Everybody else gets blanket amnesty, all right, in exchange for only one thing. They can never vote. Democrats would turn that down. So don't tell me about how the Democrats are here championing for these people because they want the dreamers to have a better life. Okay, so Trump messed that up in his first go round. So take DACA, take it off the table. The wall has to be built, but it doesn't need to be built in order to stop the flow. We've already seen that it doesn't work enough. We have a border wall half through the country, and we've had more immigration illegally through this country than ever before. So the wall is like putting a Band-Aid on cancer, all right? With that in mind, there has to be another major change that this administration has to clamp onto. Tom Horman just called the illegal alien children in this country dreamers. And I am offended by that every single time I hear it. The dreamers are the American children. American kids have dreams. They have huge dreams, and they're being left behind. We're not teaching them math. We're not teaching them reading. We're not teaching them anything. These schools are more dead set on teaching them about a pride flag than they are about how it is to do arithmetic. And so don't tell me that the American children don't have dreams. They want to be able to have the fancy cars and the nice homes and a white picket fence and a vacation or two. They have dreams too, and they're being stripped of their dreams. And you're going to turn around and call illegal aliens who broke the law, whether they knew they broke the law or didn't broke the law, they're here illegally. You're going to call them dreamers? My ass. I don't want to hear that shit. That's got to end now. Don't start talking like you're 1 foot in and 1 foot out, Tom. Either you're going to be tough, because Tom talks a tough game, right? Send them all home, whatever. Well, don't start calling them dreamers, because words matter. They have a lot of impact, okay? If I go up to some woman tomorrow with my wife and I say, do you know how much I love you? Your mother's going to crack me in the head, versus me say, well, do you know how much I really think you're a nice person? Totally different things. Words matter. So Tom, stop calling them dreamers and start recognizing that the American people, the American kids, the American dream is not called the illegal alien dream. The American dream is that of the American children who are dreamers, who dream every day for something special to happen in this country. So let's get our words right. You know what you call them? What they are. They're illegal alien children. Point blank, case closed. That's it. That's the legal term.
Like you said, words matter. So when they try to come up with these alternatives, the reason is to dilute it, right? So we went from illegal aliens to illegal immigrants to undocumented immigrants to
newcomers
to newcomers.
Mm-hmm.
Then the mixed terminology with how migrant is used, and now it's dreamers. Like that one must be the most sympathetic sounding of the bunch. And the truth is, to your point, there are a lot of native children here, illegal children here, who have very big dreams, or just your standard dreams. I mean, it doesn't have to be even the fancy cars and the vacations. Just being able to afford a certain dwelling or housing in an area that you would like to be, but because they're subsidizing it for migrant housing, you get blocked out, or a job that doesn't go to you goes to them. It's a domino effect. So yeah, there are dreamers here who are actual American citizens that are never going to get their dreams realized because these people get prioritized. So to your point, words matter. We got to drop that term, just like we have to drop, the use of undocumented. When the other side uses it, you come back with, oh, you mean the illegal aliens?
That's it. It's the legal term. It's not a derogatory term. It is the legal term, illegal alien, and that's that.
Yes.
Another video that we want to play here today, sticking within the realm of Democrats and somebody who is a huge champion for illegal aliens, is Gavin Newsom.
Ugh.
And now that actually Time Magazine is considering their Person of the Year, and the short list includes Donald Trump, who should get it hands down because he's done something nobody else in history ever has done. Yeah. Elon Musk is on there. Okay. So is Joe Rogan, and of course Kamala Harris. And it should be Trump and Trump only. That's it. And one of the things that I look at with Kamala Harris is, what's her next step? Is she going to fade out? I think she will, because I don't think anybody's going to want to give her any support. She's going to try to be relevant, but she's going to be pushed off. She'll probably try to run for governor of California, and I think Gavin Newsom is now the new head of the party. That's what you're going to see. And right now it's a quiet period. It's all about Trump. Once Trump gets into office and gets inaugurated and starts doing things that the left hate, they're going to look for a leader. somebody who's going to be the voice of pushback, and that's going to be Gavin Newsom. For the next 4 years, people like us, the conservatives, are going to have to do everything we can to remind people of who Gavin Newsom is. And because he's going to run for president, there's no doubt. And he's suave.
He designs his look to be presidential-esque.
He does. He tries to look like he's a president. He's smooth, man. He's cunning and he's smooth. I want to show you a video that I saw this morning on X, and I said, oh my God, it can't get any worse. In California, the theft is so horrible. Stores getting robbed all the time and having the criminals have no repercussions. If you wanted to go into a store tomorrow and get yourself a $2 bottle of Lipton iced tea, Coca-Cola, whatever, this is what you have to go through. Play it, Ryan.
Things have been locked up for a long time now in the Bay Area as far as convenience stores, liquor stores, CVS, Walgreens. This is the first time that we've finally seen that the refrigerated section is locked up, so you can't even go in and grab a quick soda or a bottle of water. So you can see the locks now are at the bottom of the refrigerators, the bottom of the freezers, and just like with the other items that you have to get, such as lotion, laundry detergent, you have to call somebody to come get it, wait for them to arrive, and then try to open up the lock with the appropriate key since the entire store is locked down. Most of these stores in this area have closed down and got out of business because of everything being locked up because of the theft in California. This one looks like it's going to go that way too. It is the last remaining store in this area, and we will see if it actually makes it to the end of the year, because it was dead in there, and people, the 3 or 4 people that were in there, including us, were really frustrated with just trying to get one item out of the store.
Can you imagine that?
Well, that is what you call the result of a low trust society.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to
High crime society.
Wasn't it like a few years ago that Amazon was trying to roll out stores where customers could go in, grab whatever product, and just walk out without even having to pay? Because it was like, how do we go from that to, oh, if you just really want like a bottle of lemonade, you got to go through the locked freezer. Is that what Newsom is going to run on 2028?
Well,
that he put locks on freezers?
That's the kind of thing that you're going to see video after video after video after video. And I think we need to start now. And I'll tell you why we need to start now. I'm inspired to start now. This morning, again, going through my feed, there's a guy named Scott Pressler.
Yes.
And he's such an impressive guy. He did so much to get people out to vote and help register people to vote, and just hugely. And he videoed himself this morning. I guess he was making an appearance on Fox and Friends. He is starting now to make sure that we keep Pennsylvania as a red state. I want to play what he did, because I you know what? If nothing else, we should help give this man some exposure. If we had more of this, my goodness, this country would be so far ahead. Play the video, Ryan.
Hey everybody, this is Scott Pressler coming to you live from the Fox News studio in Washington, D.C. I am the founder and executive director of earlyvoteaction.com. Now, after helping to deliver Pennsylvania for Donald J. Trump, a mistake the Republican Party usually makes is after an election, they pack up, they go home, they don't renew contracts. But we at Early Vote Action have already rehired 23 staff. We are going to continue to fortify Pennsylvania. Yes, our goal is to Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey. I look forward to starting in-person trainings in your state in January 2025, because we are coming for that governorship. We must continue the momentum. Victory begets victory, and I look forward to working with all of you to make sure that we continue to win in 2025, 2026, and beyond. Let's go.
I tell you what, one of my buddies is watching the show right now. And he just texted me. He didn't say I could use his name, but he just texted me and he said, I sent Pressler $1,000 yesterday. I love that guy. He's a winner. And the truth is that sort of thing, that Pressler, what he's doing, that's a full court press. That's a winner. That's a guy that he says, I'm not going to lose. I know what we got to do. We can't get lazy. We can't get sleepy. You know, Trump's got 4 years, man. And then it's over. It's over. And we need to be ready for the Democrats. Think about this for a second, and then we'll sign off. Was it 10? Almost for an hour. There's nobody out there right now like Trump. There's nobody who gets people as excited as Trump, okay? And he is going to do so many things to make America great again. The left is going to be having convulsions. They're going to be going into like panic mode. And they're going to start now to prepare for the midterms, and then they're going to prepare for 4 years from now. And if they didn't cheat in 2024 because they couldn't figure out how to do it, or some people say it was too big to rig, I don't care which way you want to go about it. They did in 2020, and now they got time to plan. They're like, all right, you know what? We tried to put Trump in jail. We tried to put him in the grave. We couldn't do it. Americans put him back in the White House. Now he's done. Now we're back. So they got to hold their nose for 4 years, and then, boom, they're coming back out with vengeance. We need guys like Pressler, and I'm freaking proud of my buddy. I already love him already, but now I doubly love him. I'm proud that he sat at home and said, let me give this guy some money, because that's what we need. We need more Presslers. I'd like to see Pressler get a haircut personally, but that's that.
I think it's part of like the brand or the look. He's got like the Jesus hair flow.
Is that what it is? Is it a Jesus thing?
But no, I credit is very much due to him. I mean, he mobilized the Amish to vote. They never vote. They care less, and they actually came out because I think they were tired of the overreach from Biden's government. But no, he did a lot of incredible groundwork in Pennsylvania. With his target now being New Jersey, that would be. I mean, maybe he could fulfill that prediction you made with Jersey going red at some point. But
Jersey will go back red. I'm telling you right now, that state has been beat up so bad it's going to go back
Scott
red.
Pressler is going to be the man on the mission there. I'm sure they will on the next one.
Well, make sure. All right, that's it for us. I've got a couple little announcements here at the end, but I'll tell you what. Make sure you give your blessing today, Jane Stevens. Jane Stevens. So I'm looking at Team DML live chat right now, and she says, Dennis, I want you in charge of immigration. I've always seen that you are fair in your movies, but these people have broken our laws and need to come in the right way. It's not fair that they do what they do. And I'll tell you right now, it's right. But Tom is the guy for this job. He's the guy for the job. But if he starts talking weak and meek because the mainstream media is like, what about the dreamers? These people aren't fucking dreamers, all right? Now, for me to say it like that, I get pissed off. American children are the dreamers, okay? How many times have I said this in my speeches? And in fact, I think my buddy even freaking said this to me the other day. And I'm like, did you get that from me or somebody else? When you go on an airplane, the first thing they tell you is about in case of emergency. If that air mask drops, don't put it on the person next to you, which if I'm on the plane with you, you know that. You're my kid. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look to save you. Well, they want me to put the mask on me first because if I can't breathe, I certainly can't help you. If the American citizens in this country do not start breathing, because right now we feel like we're choking, if we can't start breathing, it is going to turn out to be that we're going to die because we tried helping other people. Let's fix it here. Let's get everybody on the American dream here. And then when we've got that stuff going, let's reach our hand out. I'm the most generous guy there is in the world. My buddy would tell you, I'm the most generous guy, but I'm going to take care of my own first. All right? Even, I keep on going back to my buddy. If there wasn't food, if there was only enough food, I would expect him to feed his kids before he fed my kids, right? How crazy would it be if I turned around and took only a little food left that we all had and I gave it to somebody else instead of us? It doesn't make sense.
That's what the leftists do.
That's right. That's what the leftists do. And then they die and then they cry as they're dying.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for us. Thank you for joining us today. Sorry for my profanity, but I'll tell you what, this is one thing that pisses me off because children today in the United States of America, Dennis and I made a homeless film. We saw more children living, American children, black, white, Latino, living in the streets, in tents, in squalor. Do you remember the place we went to Hawaii when we went through that whole place? Yeah. They had a tent where they were doing little school with books for kids. I'm like, nobody should be living like this. American citizens are living like this, and I'm putting illegal aliens in fucking hotels in the middle of Manhattan. I tell you right now, I'm going to have a brain aneurysm. This will drive me crazy, so we got to end the show now. DMLCBD.com/pet. $10 bottles. I do it here for Christmas time. I'm losing money on this. I get rid of it. So this way you could get your dog all happy again, because your dog can't go on the computer. You need to go on the computer.
Or cat.
DMLCBD.com/pet. It's a one-time, one day only. Usually goes for $40. We're selling it for 10. All right. Merry Christmas to your pet. That's it. On behalf of Ryan and on Denny, we bless you with everything. We hope that you are having a greatest of holiday seasons, getting ready for Christmas. What a beautiful time of year. We're going to be with you until the end of next week, and then we take 11 days off to kind of catch our breath to get back into the new year. But we'll be with you this week, and then, of course, next week. And until then, until the next time, hopefully tomorrow, God willing, may God bless you and your family and the United States of America, and, of course, Donald J. Trump.
And today's team email blessing can go to Gene Stevens too, but I had written down here Ruth Sessions.
All right, Ruth and Jane. Sounds like a candy bar. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Get the Dennis Michael Lynch podcast every day by subscribing on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and download the DML News app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store for breaking news, merchandise, films, exclusive content, and team DML.